Hello, this is Mad Cat, the angry egalitarian that discusses this and that. Today is another video. I'm doing a lot of videos today of Mad Cat Smash! Rah! I think that rah was a lot better on this video. Also, are subtitled Stupid Things Feminists Say. And remember, maybe the problem isn't that men are doing these things, but that you're accusing all men of doing these things. Just a thought. Okay, so let us go ahead and get started today with our videos. This one I was looking forward to doing all day long today. Hopefully we'll get some people in the chat to help comment, as I always love people commenting in chat. There we go. Gay rights and anti-rape campaigner admits to having sex without consent. Well, wait a minute. Isn't sex without consent rape? Annie Kirba, 20, has previously hit out at a rape culture at Oxford University, where she was a member of the student union. But the history and politics student resigned for her campaign work, stating in an open letter, "I became sexually entitled when I'm drunk." How does anyone become entitled to sex when they're drunk? How the hell does that work out? It happened at a National Union of Students conferences for ethnic minority students, where Tariba was the lesbians' rights representative. In an open letter published on Facebook, she wrote, "At this year's NUS Black Students Conference, I had sex with someone. The other party later informed me that sex was not consensual." Why couldn't they let you know beforehand? "I failed to properly establish consent before every act. I apologize sincerely and profound for my actions. I should have taken sufficient steps to ensure that everything I did was consensual." See, when you say something like that, it kind of makes me think that when you engaged with this person, it was consensual, and then for some reason there's something that you didn't get consent on, and that's what she's bitching about. "I should have been more attentive to the person's body language in failing to clarify that the person's consent to our entire encounter. I have caused serious irreparable harm." She could have also stopped you. I mean, women are supposed to be the non-violent ones, right? Why didn't this woman stop you? Couldn't she say, "You know what? I don't want to do this anymore. Nothing against you. I'm just not comfortable." Because this whole yes means yes consent laws that colleges and feminists are trying to push right now has always been something against men. So you're telling me that after the fact, this woman tells you, "Oh, I wasn't very comfortable with what you did. It wasn't consensual." Bull fucking shit. She also admitted touching somebody in a sexual manner without their consent at a nightclub. Let's read her actual letter. "At this year's NUS Blacks Campaign Conference, I had sex with someone. The other party later informed me that the sex was not consensual. I apologize sincerely and profoundly for my actions. I should have taken sufficient steps to ensure that everything I did was consensual, blah, blah, blah. In failing to clarify that the person's consent to our entire encounter, I have caused blah, blah, blah. In a separate incident in my first year of the university, I was alerted to an inappropriate behavior while drunk in a club." So the first one, she was perfectly capable of thinking things through. She wasn't drunk herself. She was sober and had sex with another woman, and the woman told her it wasn't consensual. The second one, though, is when she was drunk, where I touched somebody in a sexual manner without their consent. Therefore, this is not an isolated incident. I apologize sincerely and profoundly for my actions. With these incidences, I have rightly lost the trust of those who I organize with and fully intend to work to ensure that I put my politics into practice in my personal relationships and to prove to them that I'm committed to transformation. As such, it would be wrong of me to accept platforms and access spaces until I have done so. In order to oh God, I figured out what she's doing. Rest of this is bullshit, but I know exactly what she's doing. This is rather smart. I mean, it's crummy that she's doing this. She's a stupid cunt. She's a stupid dyke, in all honesty. But she knows how to play the game. See, what she's doing here is someone has come to her and said, yeah, what we did last night, I didn't consent to that. And she's trying to get out ahead of it by stepping down. Now, I have firsthand experience of seeing women, me and her in an argument. And, at first, well, basically there was a crowd of us. And at first people were like, they wanted to stay out of it. But then she's like, oh, well, I'm just going to do this and that. I'm just going to leave. They're like, no, you should stay. He should leave because he's the man. So he should leave and we want to keep you. This is what she's doing. She's manipulating people. Because by feminist standards, she has committed rape. Rape without consent. Well, sex without consent is rape. And yet, nowhere in this document does it say that she raped someone. Only that she had sex without consent and that she touched someone while she was drunk. And what's going to happen here is that maybe she's going to be gone for 3 months, 6 months, a year. We're going to see this person again. And she's going to come into power and say that she made a mistake, she learned from her mistakes, and she's going to be even more powerful. Because if there's one thing in this world we like, is the redemption of women. And that's what she's doing. She's manipulating people. And God, people are going to fall for it because they're stupid morons. Oh God, this is just so mind-boggling. But the fact that no one is calling out and saying you raped someone, and you know why they're saying that is because women cannot rape. Only men can rape women. So in the question of whether or not a woman can rape another woman, the answer is no. They can have sex without consent, but it's not rape because it involves two women. This is feminism. If a woman has sex with another woman without consent, it is not rape. This is what this is saying. And she is being smart here. She knows how to play the game. She's stepping down, looks like she's lamenting, and then will come back and be even more powerful. It's a waiting game at this point, boys and girls. That way, she doesn't actually have to face the responsibility of the consequences of her actions. She doesn't have to own up to, she doesn't have to be responsible in any way. Because in all honesty, if this was a guy who did this to a girl, oh, there'd be a huge scandal. Police would be involved. There would be people banging their pots and pans in outrage. But if a woman does it to a woman, no one gives a shit. And here's the kicker. I don't know if it actually was rape or not. As she's saying that she didn't get consent for every step of the way. And honestly, if a girl initiates sex, that anything that happens in that time is consensual. And if she doesn't want you to do something, like if you turn her over and slip your dick out of her vagina and try to push it into her ass, and she says, I don't like anal, please stop, and then you slip it back in your pussy and you have fun, that's not rape. She told you directly she's not into that thing, and you stopped. Now, if you didn't stop and you proceeded to have anal sex with her, even though she wasn't into anal sex, then that is constitutions for rape. However, if she did not tell you that she's not into anal sex and you proceeded to have anal sex with her, it's not rape because she didn't tell you no. And yeah, you can call me a rapist all you want, feminists. But you know what? I can call you a magic fairy. It doesn't make you a magic fairy. So, should she not be given a criminal record as she admitted to raping in writing? Wasn't rape if the other person informed you afterwards it was not consensual? Yeah, I hate the word consensual because you think there's a letter T in it and there isn't. Consent has a T in it, consensual doesn't. Maybe they're bringing back Stargate. I would love that. I think you missed the point. The fact that the person had the courage to approach her afterwards and state they had not given consent does not negate what happened. The person didn't give their consent in the first place, period. Actually, we don't know if they didn't give their consent in the first place. All we know is that somewhere during that time, she didn't give consent. To use your rather insulting comparison, she did not try to return her meal, blah, 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 blah. But I didn't buy into that. You're an adult. If you're not interested, just say you're not interested. End of story. There's nothing sexy about someone asking, may I have sex with you? Sorry, my voice is starting to dry up. It ruins the mood and shows me that the guy hitting on me is neither smooth or good at reading body language. If a guy hits on me and I'm not interested, I do the same thing I do in every other area of my life when someone is trying to give me something I don't want. I say, no, I'm not interested. Yeah, well, there you go. So I think this is a very telling story. That if a woman rapes another woman, it's not rape, it's just sex without consent. And these feminists have now defined basically that there's a difference between rape and sex without consent. Now, they've always said before that sex without consent is rape. Now, they're splitting hairs and saying that, well, no, it's not rape. It's just sex without consent. Well, what's rape then? Sex without consent? So if rape is sex without consent, and this is sex without consent, then why is it not rape? Well, because it involves two women. Oh, God. The world we live in today. This is what feminism looks like. Who's your daddy? Why MRAs love pro-sex work feminism. This is another clickbait title, honestly. As the MRA website, A Voice for Men, stated, other industries as lucrative as prostitution generally require advanced educations, often involving sophisticated quantitative skills, pursuits women have little interest in. The criminalization of prostitution would permit women who lack higher mathematical abilities to match their earnings of men who currently dominate in these fields. The title of the article, Decriminalizing Sex Work is Good for Women, could just as easily been written by a pro-sex work feminist. In fact, it pretty much was. Why decriminalizing sex work is good for all women. And it was written for Ms. Magazine. Basically, women exercising power in forms of traditionally coded as masculine with sexual independence, economic aspirations, are a challenge to the traditional gender model. Who would have thought that prostitute was a challenge to the traditional gender model? It seems as if being a scientist or an engineer would present more of a challenge, but as a voice for men states, those jobs involve sophisticated quantitative skills, whereas prostitution only involves an available orifice. Clearly, prostitution is an easy way for women to make money, which is one of the reasons both MRAs and pro-sex work feminists support its legalization. See, you're taking something really out of context. I mean, yes, what they're saying is true. It would be easy for women, but there are other reasons why men's rights movement want to decriminalize prostitution, and it's not for this reason alone. And yet you're taking this and saying it's the sole reason. But by far the most enthusiastic articles you'll find endorsing the legalization prostitution is on an MRA subreddit called the Red Pill. Well, I've got news for you, honey, and I'm sure that that's going to be triggering for you to me calling you honey. But the Red Pill and the MRA are not the same thing. Yes, some MRAs are in the Red Pill. Some Red Pills are in the MRA. However, there are some in the Red Pill that don't like the MRA. There are some in the MRA that don't like the Red Pill, which comes to the conclusion that the MRA and the Red Pill are not the same thing. However, let's read this article where she tries to make the claim they are. In case you're not familiar with the Red Pill, it's a notorious subsection of Reddit where thousands of men write about rape. These student college sluts are crying rape all the time because feminist propaganda has told them that anything that hurts their feelings is in a sexual context is rape. Well, that's true. I mean, you're not exactly you're not exactly saying that this is true or false, but I mean, this is what they say. And there's a lot of truth in that if you keep changing the definition of rape, then everything becomes rape. I mean, I'm not really a red pillar, not part of the Red Pill specifically. I do consider myself a red pillar, but not a red pill. And I know that's a little complicated to say, but if your girlfriend asks you why you look at porn, tell her it's because she doesn't satisfy all your sexual needs. Okay. And domestic violence. If some chicks comes at me, I'm going to swing or choke the bitch out because if it's her versus me, it's me all day. Well, if a woman proceeds to hit a man, she deserves to get hit back. But, is it me or is she not showing any links at all to any of these? And I know I covered up with orange, but none of them are links. And I've tried looking up the first one, and I couldn't find it. Now, maybe it's out there, and I just didn't use Google well enough. But honestly, I found nothing on this at all. These men don't usually embrace feminism. In fact, they loathe feminism, but they wholeheartedly embrace legalizing prostitution. As a red pillar wrote, who wrote this? How about a link? And I know that You're not really a professional news site, but, you know, give us some links to where you found this stuff. Because how do I know you're not making it up? You know, where did you get it from? And if you didn't get it from Reddit, then where did the people you got it from got it from? Or else you look like an idiot. Because how do I know this is something a red pillar actually said? I mean, if you provided a link and I could see it firsthand, I could then understand the context a little bit more. I could then question that person or find out more information about that person. If feminists are interested in equality rather than power, they should love legalized prostitution. It will permit women to have control over their bodies, something that feminists claim to support. This is perfectly consistent with pro-sex work position. As one pro-sex work feminist stated, in fact, some feminists, including myself, argue that a feminist commitment to women's autonomy would support that if a woman chooses to work as a sex worker, that she should be supported in her choice. So a red pillar, not a men's rights activist, who may be a men's rights activist, agrees with a feminist viewpoint, but they don't directly agree with each other. They just happen to be saying something rather similar to each other. But I'm willing to bet that if you got these two together, they disagree with the issue of prostitution altogether. Red pillars may not support a woman's right to consensual sex. Where the fuck do you get that? Up here, when he says that stupid sluts are crying rape all the time because feminists have changed the definition of rape? Where the fuck did you get that they don't, let's read it exactly, don't support women's right to consensual sex? Now, you're saying may not, but you're using it to sneak it in there to put your own issue in there. Oh, well, these men are bad because they don't agree to women having consensual sex. Fuck you! Fuck you, you stupid whore! You should be out there selling your body because that's all you're fucking doing. You don't take your profession serious at all. You're trying to get money on your site by giving people bullshit articles. I'm glad I have a fucking ad block on my site, on my browser, so I don't have to give you any fucking money in advertising. You are more of a fucking prostitute than any sex worker, and you are selling your morals to put your own viewpoint on an issue about something else entirely. You have to sneak it in there that the red pillars are bad and that they're somehow associated with the men's rights movement, which you haven't properly shown how they are connected to each other. Because I got news for you, you little cunt. They're not connected to each other. Yes, there's some similarities. Yes, there's some crossover, but they're not the same thing. They're not. And you haven't done anything to prove that. This is nothing but feminist hatred. But more than that, this is your attempt at saying how bad sex-positive feminists are, pro-sex worker feminists, MRA, and the red pill. This is a hit piece on all of those people because you don't agree with prostitution. Then fucking say that. Say you don't fucking agree with it. Say it. But they wholeheartedly support her right to engage in prostitution. Isn't that consent, though? Wow. Really hurt my throat on that one. When pro-sex work feminists cheer Amnesty International's decision to endorse full decriminalization of sex work rather than the Nordic model, which decriminalized working as a prostitute but criminalizing pimps and johns. I don't really have an issue on pimps. I mean, I don't one way or the other, but by johns, she's meaning people who purchase sex. And instead of actually, saying it, she's trying to make, really trying to manipulate us and not realizing that, yeah, that's the Nordic model is actually pretty bad. Amnesty International has pissed off feminists by using language in international policy draft that, in addition to calling for more complete decriminalization, did so while not demonizing johns and pimps. In addition, Amnesty calls for the decriminalizing prostitution out of consideration for involuntary celibate males. For those who don't know, involuntary celibate males, or incels, are an oppressed group championed by the Red Pill. Again, no links to anything at all. There are nice guys who just can't get women to have sex with them. Here's what an incel wrote, again, no link, after a woman he just met failed to return his text. Another attention whore, carousing, writing cunt. I should have told her to fuck off as soon as she approached me. Neither the Red Pills nor Amnesty International want this young man to be denied his right to penetrate women's bodies. Do you see where this is starting to come in, where she really is against this? And thanks to an abundance of prostituted women, he never will be. So, he wants to have sex and he decides to pay for it. What's the big deal? If anything, you sex-negative feminists should actually be in support of this, because it means they're not breeding. Because prostitutes don't want to get pregnant, and men who pay for sex don't want to have children. So it only ensures that the women who want to get pregnant are only going to be with guys that want to be there with the woman and do everything she wants to do. You don't really see the big picture, do you? Amnesty International is finally on the right side of the sex work struggle, wrote pro-sex work feminist Melissa Gira Grant. Amnesty endorses for something sex workers have long demanded. Full decriminalization is a powerful one. She forgets to mention the incel struggle, she probably doesn't know anything about, since I didn't know anything about. What matters is that incel were recognized by a great human rights organization. Not really. No. See, Amnesty International doesn't care about men's rights. They do care about women's rights. And the thing is that the decriminalization of prostitution primarily affects women. Now, I won't say it's a gendered issue, because it also affects men in a lot of ways. But, a lot of women, because it was criminalized, prevented them getting proper safety, getting proper medical treatment. That if a prostitute gets raped, she can't exactly go to the police, because she then has to admit that she engaged in illegal activity. More and more bullshit. Why would red pillars who think rape accusations are worse than rape, and that feminists is a devious trick to allow ugly fatties and shitty attitudes to have a shot with attractive alphas, support something as beneficial to women as legalized prostitution? Oh, we know where you're going with this. The answer is pretty clear. Red pillars support legalized prostitution because it increases sex trafficking and cheap availability of pussy. So now you're making red pillars sound like pedophiles, because sex trafficking is often involved with underage children being trafficked, or getting Russian women or Asian women over to America and working in clubs. And it's like, no, that's not what they want. No one wants that. We want to stop sex trafficking. Red pillars, men's rights, feminists, egalitarians, penguins. We all want to stop sex trafficking, but we do want to make it legal that if someone wants to sell their body for sex, they can. As George Carlin stated, selling is legal, fucking is legal, but selling fucking is illegal. Heavy regulated market and prostitution may hinder social acceptance, causing irrationally inflated prices while hiding prostitution from mainstream society. He goes on to describe a holiday in Thailand. Having the ability to walk outside along the beach road for 15 to 30 minutes maximum to find at least 8 to 10 females to have casual sex with for $30 or less is an experience I want all men to have all over the world. I need to go to Thailand. I mean, I do love Asian girls. As pro-sex work feminists stand right beside red pillars, yeah, I'm sure they're standing right beside them, we must hold no quarter for those who seek to stop legal and rampant prostitution following a free market model. The rest of this article is just attack after attack after attack. She even starts criticizing Germany for the fact that it legalized prostitution, that prostitution is a lot easier to get. And by this point, I just got so angry with this, as you could hear. I marked this in yellow, but it should be in red because I just wanted to pee on her. I wanted to humiliate her, honestly, because this is just attack after attack after attack. And she has no shame whatsoever. I'm actually going to finish this video off, so let's go ahead and jump on to the next article. These two are pretty short. The most vital feminist issues of 2016 because women's autonomy is seriously under threat. Isn't prostitution about women's autonomy? Just a thought. So let's just swing through these real quick. Reproductive rights. This is one of the few issues I think feminists actually have. Because while prostitution is legal in this country, there are many states, at least 25 states, that have passed laws to get abortion clinics to shut down. So I do think that there's something that needs to be done by that. You know, if it is a legal right for women to get these done, then we need to stop states from passing laws to getting clinics shut down. Because all you're going to do is you're going to create a black market for abortion, which is going to put women at greater health risk. Whether you agree with abortion or not. I mean, look at drugs. Look at the drug industry. Prices went up, black market. You know, it's possible to get bad drugs because, you know, there is no safety standard. And now that places like Colorado has passed marijuana, legalizing marijuana, I know Arizona has, and I believe Seattle has, we're able to regulate it more and keep prices at a low level. Equal rights amendment. We don't really need an equal rights amendment, but, you know, it's failed in the past because the wording of it left to much confusion. And even though it passed in the Senate and House, most states refused to accept it because it would cause a lot more complications than problems it would solve. But as she states here, here's what she thinks the ERA stands for. Section 1, equality of rights under the law shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or any state on the account of sex. The Constitution should have the power to enforce, by appropriate legislation the provisions of this article, and 3, the amendment shall take effect 2 years after the date of ratification. You know what? I agree with this. Let's do it. Let's just, these 3 things right here, nothing else. Because it's the rest of the document I start having problems with. But these 3 things right here, if that's all you think the ERA is, let's go for it. Because I got news for you. All of these female privileges that feminists have given women would go away. They would then be responsible for their actions. And in many ways, this would benefit men more than it would benefit women. Because all the inequalities that men have in our society would be discrimination, would be unconstitutional. So let's pass it. I dare you. Just pass those 3 right there. That's it. Nothing else. And I think you could get every single state on board just for those 3 things. That's it. Nothing else. I dare you. Okay. Intersectional feminism. You know, this isn't really a rights or an issues. It's just saying that white feminists don't speak for all feminists. Not all feminists are like that. Even though we actually are, we're just splitting the hairs on white feminism and every other feminism. And I do believe that this is going to break up the feminist movement. Because while black feminists and brown feminists and green feminists, you know, want to rise to power, they're going to cut off the part of them that actually gives them the power, which is the white portion of it. Because there are far more white people out there in first world countries than any other race. Now look at America. 76% of all America is white. 76%. You cut that out of the picture? Well, let's just put it this way. You don't want white people as your enemy. You want them as your allies. And in feminism, if you think cutting out white people, white women, is going to make feminism better, all you're going to do is piss off white women and they're going to fight back. And that will be the end of feminism. So I support intersectional feminism because it will lead to the end of feminism. All right, getting the highest glass ceiling. Again, just talking about how, you know, there's a glass ceiling that still exists and blah, blah, blah. She shaved her face, even though she has no facial hair. But here's my question. Why did she put shaving cream on her nose and not on her, on her neck? Because I know I have to put a little bit on my neck up to my Adam's apple, or actually a little bit past. And I understand she doesn't have to actually shave, but she's trying to emulate men. She's like really doing it wrong. I don't think there's any men today that deals with a hairy nose. Not hairy inside, hairy on the outside. There is no glass ceiling. The only reason why women don't get to the top positions is because they don't work for them. And guess what? Hillary Clinton got denied the presidency in 2008. Guess what she's doing 8 years later? Going for it again. She's working her ass off. I hope she doesn't get it because she's a stupid fucking cunt. But honestly, women don't get to high positions because most of the time they want it handed to them. But speaking of Hillary Clinton, let's end our last article today on Hillary Clinton. Girl with 2 dads writes to Hillary Clinton and she can inspire us all. Now, I will point out I was a little bit confused by this stuff here. I'm like, well, wait a minute. This looks like stuff you find on a cell phone or an instant messenger. How is this handwriting? This didn't make sense until I realized that someone after the fact redacted this information with this stupid shit and actually used something like actual redacting made me think that this was fake. However, I actually do think it's still fake, but let's go ahead and read. Dear Hillary Clinton, my name is Olivia and I'm 12 years old. I have two dads named Sunglasses, 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 okay, 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 and Blush, Blush, Blush. I also have a twin brother named Spencer. Okay, okay, okay. I go to a school called Mary McDowell's Friends School. The school is for kids with learning disability. I have dyslexia and ADHD, which stands for Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder. The school is fairly expensive. Fairly expensive. No child wrote this. Or if she did, she had a lot of coaching. Fairly expensive is not words that a 12-year-old child would use. She would say it's expensive. She might say it's very expensive, but fairly expensive? No. I don't believe for 1 minute that this is really the words of a 12-year-old girl. Hell, I don't even believe it's the words of a 20-year-old girl. And I wish that there were more public schools, really public schools, not more schools, because before she mentioned school, she didn't say it was a public school, but here she's saying it's a public school. She wishes more public schools were like this. Again, these are not words a 12-year-old would actually say. That can also help kids with dyslexia like me. My school is in Brooklyn, so I would like to be completely willing to help you out after school. I bet I would be the youngest member of your campaign. And her spelling is actually quite well. I mean, I could believe that, but some of these words are a little bit hard for a child to write. In fact, most people would have problems with some of these words. I'm a huge fan of yours, and I really hope you become president. I am a little feminist growing up to help all women with equal rights. She's a little feminist? No, I still don't believe that. I don't believe that this is not language a girl would use. I hope you can be the first woman president of the whole United States. By the way, I'm really glad that there is now, and she uses a comma too. Well, actually, I don't think you really need a comma in this sentence. By the way, I'm really glad that there is now gay marriage legal all around the whole 50 states of America. So, reading this, okay, there's two possibilities. One, a little girl did actually write this, but she had coaching. Now, she says she has dyslexia and ADHD. Now, I haven't ever really known anyone with dyslexia, but I am familiar with it. I do know that a person with dyslexia has a problem understanding information the same way and may perceive information differently, which is confusing for other people. Please correct me if I'm wrong on that. ADHD, I know all too well because my brother had ADHD. And he was just very rambunctious. He was all over the place. Now, girls tend not to be diagnosed with ADHD. So, if she actually is diagnosed with ADHD, I mean, most girls are diagnosed with ADD between the two, but ADHD, she has to be really, really rambunctious. She has to really be, a problematic child for her to actually have ADHD as a diagnosis. So maybe she wrote this, but she had a lot of help. People telling her what to put in this letter. Or two, an adult wrote this letter trying to sound like a little girl and not understanding that a little girl doesn't talk like this. Now, if there were misspellings here, if it, was a little less descriptive, like public schools, fairly expensive, member of your campaign, and a lot less punctuation. I mean, we live in an internet age right now where most people can't even say the word later. They have to put an L, a number 8, and an R. That we have keck and LOL, and you don't see any of that here. And again, that's what a 12-year-old girl would do given the age that we live in now, where language is not so much about making sure it's proper, but just getting it out as fast as you can. So no, I don't believe a 12-year-old actually wrote this. Now, the article just basically goes over what was already said in the letter. And then Hillary Clinton responded, "Thank you for writing to me. It puts a smile on my face." Now, it has a ... here, which makes me think there might be more to this. Please know that I join your dads in cheering you on for a great success. Keep up the great work. Always care deeply about what you believe in and never stop reaching for the stars. Now, I don't know what that ... is for. And certainly there's really nothing more to this article at all. It's pretty much where it ends. So I'm hoping she wrote more, because if this is an actual girl who wrote this, she has ADHD and dyslexia. Now, while I could probably write that letter in 2 minutes because I'm a fast typist and I don't have dyslexia, I don't have ADHD, a 12-year-old girl, first and foremost, ADHD and dyslexia, and in a special school, might I add, that letter probably took her a good hour to do. I'm really hoping Hillary Clinton wrote more than this, just this. And I'm hoping that ... means that there's more to this letter that we're not being privy to. Because if this is all that Hillary Clinton wrote to, it is a slap in the face to that little girl who spent a good portion of time trying to get this letter together for Hillary Clinton, and that's all she could do. I'm willing to give you the benefit of the doubt, Hillary Clinton, that you did write more, but I have no way to prove or disprove that. So all I'm going to say is if this is all you wrote, you're a crummy human being. But then again, I think the whole thing is fake. I think whoever actually wrote that letter was just trying to sound like a little girl for some sick reason. I don't know what it is. I don't think Hillary Clinton made this up. Maybe she did. I don't know. Probably try to get some positive feminist press or whatever, but I don't think she did. There's better ways of getting that. But I think whoever wrote her either coached a girl on what to say exactly, or there is no little girl. So, all right. I think that does it for me today. There's no comments to have on this. I thank everyone for coming out. First few videos had a lot of viewers. These last ones did not. I'm happy for what I get. I really enjoy doing these videos. Join me Sunday. I'm doing a release party for my newest book. It's out on the market now. I'm hoping to have a lot of people show up, guests and whatnot, to discuss my book, my career, a whole lot of things. If you also check out the link down below, there's my Patreon. If you like what I'm doing, you want me to continue to do what I'm doing, want to give me a tip or whatnot, consider donating to my Patreon. I have nearly 300 subscribers on my channel. If all of them just gave $1, just $1 a month, It would be enough for me to get insurance. It'd be enough for me to get the medical treatment that I need so I can become a productive member of society. I really, really want that again. I really hate having to live off of my parents because it's really starting to stress them out. It's really starting to extend them beyond what they're capable of doing. And I fear that one of these days they may just kick me out because I'm not contributing anything. And if I could start getting back to a point where I could become productive to society, I could get a job, even a part-time job, to try to get some money to help them out and to help myself out, that would be great. But I need medical treatment first. So if you can, if you have an extra dollar, consider donating to that. However, if you don't feel comfortable doing Patreon, and I completely understand that, consider purchasing my new book. It's just released this past week. It's about vampires spreading the bubonic plague. It's about knights fighting against vampires, fantasy. I put a lot of research and work into it. It's only $2.99. Click the link down below. That is the first book. It is completely free. Read through it. If you like it, consider buying the book. That also goes to me. I really hope you enjoy the book, but if you can purchase my new book, if you can rate it, if you can leave an honest review, that actually helps out my career. The more of that I have, the more I can make. So if you're not comfortable doing Patreon, consider buying my book. Both will help me out a great deal. Anyways, this is Mad Cat signing off.